Welcome, everybody, to the Somewhat Podcast Men. In every show's span of life, there comes a time when we have a guest that's so eminent, so powerful, so secretive, that he must keep his identity a secret. Today, on the Somewhat Podcast Men, we have Ace of Spades, a premier conspiracy theorist. That's what we say. He says he's speaking the truth. Ladies and gentlemen, Ace of Spades.
Thank you so much. You honor me too much. You give me too much credit. I do what I do because I like to learn and I like to debate. I like to converse. I like to take interesting ideas, and that's going to lead me to the first thing I wanted to talk to you about, my disclaimers. Now, trust me, I'm going to say things tonight that no matter how many times you run them through your head, you still can't believe I said it. And I will get to that. But what I do want to say is, people get into conspiracy theory for a lot of different reasons. And there's a lot of conspiracy theories out there. But what I have found is there are some that really encompass everything, all encompassing conspiracy theories, that explain all the others, or explain why all the others are not right. So basically, I wanted to mention 2 or 3 reliable sources tonight that really have an all-encompassing geopolitical worldview when it comes to conspiracy theory. They are, and not in any order of importance, Bill Cooper. They are Taj Tarik Bey and Ray Hagin. These are the most comprehensive and compelling of all of the conspiracy theories, in my opinion. And, also my next disclaimer is because I have seen so many conspiracy theories, I would like to let you know my outlook is I do not believe in anything that I cannot prove or say in public. So these are entertaining to me. These are, thought-provoking, but I do not put my stock in them because I have a geopolitical worldview that is so strong that I can listen to anything and nothing will change my mind. And
Now,
that's right.
Ace of Spade, if I may, for a brief second. So, for the viewers listening or watching this show right now, like, why should they spend their time, or why should they care to learn about what we have to say? Like, what benefit do you think it will provide them?
Well, that is something that each and every person has to define for themselves. All I can really talk about is my experience, and there are a lot of different ways to look at the world. And for me, the reason to delve into conspiracy theory is, one, to know what other people are saying about you, because you got to know. 2, to test your own conviction in your own geopolitical worldview. And 3, entertainment. And the third one is not as important as the first 2. And if you really, it depends on how seriously you take yourself. Now, if you take yourself and your opinions very seriously, then you ought to be challenging your own beliefs, religious, political beliefs. And that is going to be my third disclaimer. And thank you for segueing into that. Is if you go into this any further than what we talk about tonight, you will have to suspend your religious beliefs. You will have to suspend your political beliefs to really consider this, because as soon as a lot of people will hear this, they'll say, "I don't believe that. I'm done."
Hmm.
If you stop there, you haven't really learned about the guy that is, in someone else's shoes, or with someone else's beliefs. So, you know, uh,
Hmm.
another thing that you want to do is be able to look at positions different than your own.
Right.
So
So it's
Ace,
kind
let
of
me
like a
let me kind of prime this stage for the listeners. First of all, we are not sure if the picture we got from Ace of Spades is him, but it was just a picture sent. So because basically, I'm just gonna be honest. I'm like the listeners right now. I'm here for the ride. I'm just gonna. You see that background I got? It's folding in itself. That's how I'm gonna fold into this ride. All right.
Okay.
All
so what you
right.
were saying,
enough,
Ace, was more like a hardening of steel through a forge, pretty much like an
Yes.
intellectual forge.
Yes, you can only really test yourself against something that might force you to change. That's the only real test, And
So, yeah. Oh,
I
sorry.
was
So,
gonna say,
Ace, what? I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead. Continue.
and I believe these conspiracy theories I'm going to share with you
Mm.
meet that level of merit. I could see why someone would listen to them and change their opinions and beliefs. So these are
So
strong.
for the hardcore conspiracy theorists, I would
Yes.
just say you're in good for a good ride, and for the ones who have no clue what they're getting into, I would say just leave everything behind and just flow.
Okay.
So,
Great.
Ace, let's start. You mentioned three names at the beginning of your intro. So,
Yes.
why don't we start with? Was it Bill Cooper you mentioned?
Bill Cooper.
Yeah,
Yes.
let's start there.
And
Tell us about him.
okay, he was the head of the United States militia. He was actually on CNN at one point when they interviewed him. They called him a racist. They call a lot of people who are underground militia members and quote unquote sovereign citizens and people of that ilk racist. And some of them may be, some of them may not be. But he does have a body of work where if you do go out there and listen to him, he does not sound like a racist at all.
Hmm.
What does qualify him to have secret knowledge is that he was in the Navy, and yes, he was in naval intelligence. And he does share some things that one nobody has ever seen, it's out there. It's public information. I didn't say it; he said it. Um, the other thing that is pretty compelling about him is that he was gunned down by the FBI in the late '90s,
Okay.
and he would not go with the establishment, and he would be a voice against what is happening to his country. So,
So,
What's the
yeah, what was his
government?
theories?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. But,
Well, no. Before we get into that, what was the government's reason they gave for him being killed?
well, I believe they raided his compound. I believe it was something. I believe it was either sedition or treason. I'd have to
hmm.
look into that, but they did consider him a criminal that they wanted to apprehend, arrest, and they eventually did kill. So,
More or less enemy of the state.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. And he talked a lot about um, he uh, he talked a lot about aliens and unidentified flying objects. Now, that is somewhere where I choose not to go. I believe
Hmm.
anything that is unidentified is human, military, and not of another planet. That's just my opinion. I respect anybody who doesn't believe that we're, alone in the universe. I choose not to believe that because of parsimony. You choose the closest to reality that we have the evidence for. But what else he talked about was the assassination of JFK. How
Interesting.
the Dallas police were involved, Freemasons, and he also talked extensively about how what he called the priesthood, and every king, every president that's ever been, in power, was not in power of his own volition, but in order to protect the priesthood and in order to move what the priesthood wanted, and they would operate in the shadows.
So let's
And
break that down one by one. As far as JFK goes, the
Mhm.
Dallas police were involved. What were his theories about why JFK was killed?
Well, it was mainly about the money supply and the CIA, and he was he wanted to have interest-free money, and I forget, it was something that JFK did, an executive order, several months before he died. Uh,
He actually, it was backing the money with the gold standard.
yes, and it was an executive order. He named it. It was like 10110.
Yeah, they had already started printing the money that was going to reflect being backed
Yep,
by the gold standard.
absolutely. And the other main factor was the mob, and his brother, um, Robert F. Kennedy, was actually coming after the mob. And at first, they were the mob, Sam Giancana, who he mentions, Chicago mobster. He would meet with, the Kennedys. Not every day, not all the time, but I mean, he had access to them, and their father Joe, who started the mob ties. That's what threw them off. Is they really serious about coming after us because we helped you get them into power? Now, again, this is not me saying this. This was Bill Cooper, the head of the U.S. militia, and
Hmm.
uh, and
When you, excuse me, just for clarification, when you say he was a former member of a militia, like what exactly? I'm a little confused by that. What type of militia? Like
well, I believe it was up in Michigan, and he was, head
so
of.
it was like a right wing sort of group,
No,
or like
not at
no,
all. It was
no,
it
not
was it was not it was more of a uh patriotic group of people who
patriotic.
like to uphold.
There are a lot of those kind of
Okay.
militias all over the states now.
Oh, okay.
There's a lot of
Okay.
them groups now.
And
Gotcha.
he was not party delineated. He didn't believe in Democrats or Republicans. They were
Hmm.
all in on the take for him. And
Gotcha.
they're usurping our freedom, and he was really against socialism, as you can tell. Because that ilk, they
Hmm.
really do oppose the
All right.
the establishment takeover of the country, and want to go back to where everything was unlimited freedom, as it was in the beginning of the country, in the beginning of um,
I
yeah.
think Ace, your audio was going in and out.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, that's
Yes.
your. I think your micro. Okay.
He started to say too much.
They're starting to come after my microphone. That's what it is. It's
So Bill Cooper's theory about JFK was that the mob helped him get elected, which is almost like common knowledge now.
yeah.
The mob helped him get elected through Joe Kennedy, who had ties with the mafia through
Yep.
rum running, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
And they actually killed JFK after Joe Kennedy's death. They
Yeah,
waited until he was dead.
and according to Bill Cooper, you know who actually shot him was Woody Harrelson's father.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah, yeah,
Woody Harrelson's father.
Woody Harrelson's father. Yeah, so that is a nugget there from Bill Cooper, and I don't know if I believe that or not. It's a little out there, but he names them. He also names the paymaster in Dallas for the KKK, and
I'm sorry, the paymaster?
the
What's
paymaster.
up?
And I
What's
don't
up?
remember his name, but it was a very common,
The
Bill
the
Owens
bank.
type of name. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
you know.
So, gotcha.
Okay.
So, Ace, like, as you know, there's like many people who espouse all sorts of conspiracy theories and whatnot. But the reason you decided, like, you chose Bill Cooper as one of the people that you think are, have a certain eminence is you mentioned that he was a formal naval officer. He was in a
Yeah.
naval intelligence unit.
Yes.
Is there anything else like during your readings or like in your
Well,
research of Bill Cooper that you feel that that makes him compelling compared to, like, say, there's so many
Yeah.
other people that espouse
Why
it.
why does he stick out for you?
Yeah.
it's really three main things. First of all, naval intelligence. That's
Okay.
the heart of the heart of the heart of it. He also, and I'll tell you a story about that after I complete my list. But the other one is his talk about the priesthood and how they have, prop up kings and take down kings. And also, if you would have to, there's a quality, I can't really explain it to you, that you would have to see. He
Mhm.
is very, knowledgeable and founded in his beliefs and his convictions. So,
So
um,
he doesn't speak like Alex Jones on cocaine or something,
no, no, not at all,
huh?
not at all.
Okay.
This is a guy who you can tell is intelligent.
All right.
And the story I wanted to tell you about him before we
Okay.
move on from is when he was in the Navy, he claims to have seen a flying saucer come out of the water, and the water came out of the saucer's way before the saucer lifted in the air, and it went faster than he'd ever seen anything go, moved directionally more than anything could go, and then when it went back in the water, it went back in the water without disturbing the water.
You know
Like a
what?
matter
what
displacement
what you
Yeah.
just
method.
said about that. Actually, a lot of the disclosed UFO files the United States has put out. I think some of that was talking exactly of that event you're just mentioning right now.
Yes. Yes. And it's very interesting in these times that that's just being disclosed in the middle of everything else.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Was there a need for it or not? I mean, it just put it out there.
Well, I think that there needs to be an event or an enemy that we all coalesce against.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if this is propagated or created so that all humankind can be united against something, this would be it. And like I said, I do not believe that, there are reports that what they've seen now are more advanced than anything we've ever seen, and we don't understand how it's working. I don't believe that. I believe we are so advanced that we don't admit what we know. That's what I think.
What about I guess before we move on from Bill Cooper, just one final question. You mentioned something. He talked about a priesthood.
Yes.
That was that like a secret cabal of like
Yeah, the
priests that
Illuminati,
like
the Freemasons.
this
That's what he's talking about.
they're like
Well,
sitting in
it's
they're like sitting
actually,
like where exactly are these people like?
and this is an entrenched establishment in not only Christianity but in most major religions. And
Even Islam?
Yeah.
Even
that's what
Islam?
he would say. That's what he would say. Yeah, and they don't mention
Okay.
that, but another one of the people that I mentioned does mention.
Okay. All right.
So,
All right.
that's where, and
Maybe we should go there next.
yes, and the fact that when I find the same things from different people, it kind of strengthens that idea.
Mhm.
So Bill Cooper's notion of a priesthood really mirrors Taj Tariq Bey's description of the dark priesthood.
Taj,
So
Tarik.
Taj.
Taj Tariq Bey.
Taj is in
Okay.
TAJ. Like,
TAJ.
okay.
Yep. Now,
Taj Tarik Bey. Okay.
So
We're going to talk about him now.
yes, this would be someone who would be call himself a Moor, and
Mm.
he's also called himself a Muslim. Now, there's a difference between a Muslim, according to him, and a Muslim. Now, a Muslim believes in the creed. A
Mm-hmm.
Muslim does not believe in the creed. He believes in the not esoteric, but he would say the Kabbalistic nature of the books. Now, the Moors, they have a separate Quran.
Really?
Yes, it's called the
Yeah.
Circle 7 Quran.
Huh.
Now, I'm not sure what's in it. You know, he has mentioned it before, and it has been in English, so that's different. And there also is another prophet that was
After.
in the late 1800s and early 1900s.
I
And
see.
so there are clear differences between what Muslims believe in and what Muslims believe. So again, this is why, remember in my disclaimer, I say you have to know what's out there.
Mhm.
So, when people, say that they're Muslim and they say something that might be completely different, or, you might not catch it if you don't know about the Moors. And the Moors, they would call, we would call them black, but they would not call themselves black. And this is where
Mhm.
I would like to introduce the idea of connotative linguistics, right?
Ooh.
And
Connotative
yes,
linguistics.
yes,
Take out
and
your Scrabble boards.
exactly. We're gonna hit you with some Scrabble words, right?
Let's
And
do it.
basically, and there are so many things that you would need to know the definition of and the etymology of, but I will just leave you with two words that we think of that he would not say the same way.
Mm.
He would say there are no black people and there are no white people. First of all, what we think of as white people are very light skin, yellow, very light yellow.
Caucasian.
Yes, and people that are quote unquote black are very, very dark brown skinned persons. Now, more than this, black is a legal definition. It means non descendable.
Mhm.
And white is a legal definition. A free white person means landlord or sovereign. So he instructs people that in open court, that you do not fall into the connotative linguistics of being called a black man, and uh, the the people in the court, which is he would say is the law of the sea on land. That those are not courts; those are um, uh, human trafficking uh, instruments, right? And those people are not judges; they're human traffickers.
So where does he live? Does he live in the United States, or
He
where's he
does.
based?
He lives in Philadelphia.
Is he still alive?
He is still alive. He
I
is the
see.
head, he's the head of a organization called the House of Reawakening Minds, and
Okay.
they call him Grand Sheik Taj Tariq Bey.
Grand Sheik. Okay.
Yes, he's a 70-year-old man, very knowledgeable.
Mhm.
Um, and there are some things that you would have to suspend your political beliefs because he doesn't believe in party. He
Mhm.
calls them the KKK Democrat Party and the slightly less racist Republican Party.
Really?
Yes, yes.
Oh
We like
boy.
this guy. I like this guy.
Hey,
Now,
so one thing, Ace, before we
yeah.
continue, is that I've heard my understanding of the Moors
Hmm.
is that their belief system is that very light-skinned Asiatic people
Yeah.
and very dark-skinned brown Moroccans
Hmm.
made an agreement
Hmm.
to share the New World, and that
Yes.
all this understanding of race relations and racism and slavery,
Yeah.
et cetera, is just a front
Yes.
to distract us from the powerful that are really controlling the country, and both groups,
Yeah.
the Moroccans and the light skinned Asiatics,
Yes.
are really in power. Is that
Yeah.
correct?
Yes, that is correct. In other words, they have there was an agreement, and of course the Constitution. And what supersedes the Constitution is the treaties that existed before them. Now, what is the longest American treaty? It is with Morocco. And he would say, you're not standing on America. The United States is a company, not a country. You're standing on the dominions of Morocco. The land here is Morocco.
Really?
Yes. And the way to escape the um, peonage, the slavery, the sharecropping, and to get your rights is not to make yourself American, but to create a trust, be in your proper person, which is foreign to the United States as a Moor. And there are several bodies of work here that are just under this. This is the meat of what I wanted to talk to you about tonight. And, if you are in your proper person, in other words, you don't have a member of the Bar Association represent you in court, um, you would be foreign to this government to claim your rights. And there's some very interesting things that he mentioned as support for this when he mentioned Abraham Lincoln. He would represent black people in court. And the issue came up, are you charging him as a black man or as a Moor? There's a difference
Hmm.
because a Moor has rights and a black man doesn't. And he would go ahead. You were going to
I was
say?
gonna say so. Yeah, I was gonna say. Do you think like from the teachings or from the philosophical creed that you listen to this guy, is there any practical value or benefit you think that
Like, yeah,
the viewers or
what,
listeners could derive from this?
For
or
someone,
somebody to kind of get
yeah, yeah, and
infatuated by it, you know.
this is where I would like to insert myself here a little bit.
Hmm.
For someone who does believe in the creed and not the Kabbalistic nature, for someone who does love his country and the freedoms of this country, the United
Hmm.
States, um, it is worth um, it is worth exploring this because it is where a lot of people are that we would call black, so-called blacks, Moors. And there are things that they do agree with Muslims on,
Hmm.
that one of them is Palestine.
Hmm.
The other is you know the the opposition to Rome, and to really explain what he means is the Inquisition never ended, the Spanish Inquisition, the Crusades never ended, and there are things that I you know would not believe in, and that would be, of course, the conspiracy theory regarding September 11th. You know,
Mhm.
I don't think that's worth going down that road. That's like Holocaust denial. That's
Right.
crazy, right? But
Right.
everything else, I would say,
Mhm.
might be worth exploring.
Hmm. Alex, I mean, what do
Minorities.
you? I'm sorry.
Um,
Go ahead, Ace.
yeah,
Yeah,
I
go
was
ahead,
going to
Ace.
say, minorities coming into this country, kind of now have a decision to make. And,
Mm.
don't think of it as the Democrats versus Republican decision here.
Mm.
And, uh, but it's the decision is, do we want to make allies of the, you know, Moors, black, and I think that would be very good to consider.
Ace.
Say that
Maybe
last part again. Yeah, you kind of.
Yeah,
I
you're
think
saying too much
Okay.
again.
you're saying too much again, man. I think the
Okay.
powers that be might be
It's
tampering.
they're conspiring against me, and I completely believe that. But I mean, we could be allies,
Uh-huh.
and this is something where we'd have to draw a line and say this is what I believe. I believe in the creed. I believe what the uh, what the doctrine says, right?
Hey,
And
Ace,
Hold
you're
on,
you're
hold on,
like
hold on. So whatever you're trying to tell us, the government does not want to hear us to hear it. So
I think we should
let's
move
move
on
on.
because
Yeah,
it's
let's move on.
prohibited. So
all right.
So,
Let's move. Let's move
but I
from.
will say that like I am infatuated
Mm.
right now with what you're saying because
mhm.
when I was growing up, there used to be how do I say this? So like I when I'd go visit my friends in
Yep.
the housing tenements and the projects,
Mhm.
whenever we would walk down the hallways, there would always be one person there to stop you and to talk to you about the Moors and who the
Really?
Moors were. Yes, on
Yeah.
every building,
They're
who the Moors were, what they were
Yeah.
about,
Yeah.
what their worldview was, what their
Yeah.
political philosophy was, and they would explain to us that there is no white man, there is no black man.
Exactly.
This is
Exactly.
a falsehood that was created to keep everybody in
Yeah.
slavery,
Yeah.
whether they're light skinned Asiatic or dark brown skinned Moroccan, and that
And,
the true lords were in the ones who were in power, the dark priesthood and the king of
exactly.
Morocco, who's getting money to this day
Yeah.
from the federal government
Yeah.
for his ancestors' investments.
So
Wait.
what you just said, I just wanted to kind of bring this. I have an African American coworker, and he's pretty open about being a Freemason and all that. But the one thing that what we've been just talking about and kind of hit me because he would mention that he is also a Moor. All right.
Yeah.
And then and just in passing days, is quite a while back, I asked him, or I said, so what's the baseline you guys, believe in? Like, what? So, and he just clearly said there is no white and there's no black.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so at that time, I never thought about it. So, I just kind of just had it, in my memory. And now what you were saying, I'm going to have a chat with him now.
You know what?
Interesting.
When you should tell him the definition of white because it says definition in Black's dictionary, which is always cited or usually cited, that white does not mean European.
Mm.
Okay, white means North African and free man. And white does they go through a list. White does not mean like Irishman. White does not mean Hungarian. Slavic does not mean white. Okay, Slavic actually means slave. That's where the word slave comes from. So there's a lot of etymology, learning the words, and why they're important.
Yep.
What?
I think they even in the census they added And like somebody check this out while we're talking. I think they added North African before they added Eastern European to white in the
Interesting.
census.
Maybe. I'm not. Yeah. That would be interesting to find out. Though there are a couple things that I do like that the Moors say. One is that we are not innocent in our downfall. And that's where they open up about what they call conversos, people that look like you, that know everything about what's happening and still want to keep their people down. And
Conversos? Wait,
conversos.
you mean like doppelgangers? Like, what do you mean
No,
conversos?
no. These are people who are paid off. He would, Tosh would say, these are the marching, leading preacher guys who want to go to Bahamas and spend Jesus's half. In other words, they have a 501c3, take all the money and go party with.
Okay.
Oh,
Over and over.
I know who he's talking about. You know those preachers who buy those jets
Yep.
with the charity money? That's what he's talking about.
Yeah.
The ones who put so much makeup on, they almost look unreal.
Yeah, you know what they call that in Christianity? They call that prosperity gospel. And as you are, that's what they believe. I don't want to hate, if you are, really believing that, then you should be prosperous because that's, God wants you to live. I mean, the other side of that is, of course, there are people that have information and do not share.
Ace,
your mic. Check this out.
Your mic is kind of
no. I don't think it's his mic. It's his bandwidth. It will just hold a second.
See, now you sound perfect. Were you
Okay.
Okay. Mic check. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, we're good.
Okay. So, there are a couple of other nuggets I wanted to share with you about, what the Moors say that may make you have to, take a heat check. One is that all income taxes, marriage license, and driver's license fees go directly to Rome, and there's a 40-60 split between the chancery in England and
when you say Rome, are we talking about the Catholic Church?
The Vatican. Yeah, the Vatican.
Yeah.
Okay.
But then but we're mainly talking about the night orders that exist to protect and enforce, canon law.
I got
And while we're talking about that, he does go into like 5 or 6 definitions of canon law. Unum sanctum. There is let's see, Dominicus Divina. There is the doctrine of discovery, which is the most important. This is what he claims gives the law that provides for conquering for Rome. And the only thing that beats canon law is common law. This is why you must honor your mother and father. That is the other thing that I think might be something that is shared. Honor your mother and father. Not just do what they say, take their name. You can't transact business in another man's name. And, this is what they mean about nationalizing. By becoming foreign to the United States to claim your rights. They call that nationalizing. So
I've seen people try this in actual open court.
Yeah.
And the court doesn't recognize.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the thing. I have a hard time with that because first of all, I don't want to be outside the United States and expatriate. Second of all, I tend to do exactly as I'm told when, if and when I'm ever in court, which is, never. But I mean, I would not have the balls to talk to the judge like that. And the way that he, mentions how to check these people, They'll say, he'll say that no, judge, or you're not, I don't consider you a judge. You're European, meaning you'll never be American, and I will never say that. So it's a certain legal wrangling, but basically what you're trying to do, or what he would say you're trying to do, is you're trying to change jurisdiction. I do not. I do
not recognize your authority over me because you're from Europe, not from America.
Yeah, and this isn't the state of New Jersey. This is New Jersey territory. Is what he'll call them, right?
So like both Bill Cooper and the Moors, epitomized by Tarik Bey. You're saying that both of them felt that there was this sort of elite priesthood class that is pulling strings.
Yes, absolutely.
And this is the same. They both pointed to the same priestly class, or a different type of priestly class.
No, it's the same priestly class. It's just Tarik Bey identifies it more. And are you ready for another? You ready for another bombshell?
I don't know. I don't know if I'm ready, but I'm definitely going to love to hear it for sure.
Okay.
Go for it.
He would say all congressmen, all senators are dark priests. They are not senators.
I actually agree with him on that one.
He would say that the last legitimate president.
That idea I had way before.
Yeah.
Who was the last legitimate president?
Abraham Lincoln.
I also believe that. Actually, kind of JFK was kind of a tangent, because he got shot by the establishment, so we would consider him he wasn't following the script.
Exactly. He was
they say if a man takes a bullet for something, he was doing something right.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean,
yeah. Why would you kill especially, okay, let's take this in perspective. A president gets assassinated. Yeah. All right? He or she's not meeting the status quo of the establishment at hand. Or if he's getting so way out of hand, they have to shoot him to remove him. I mean, that's an extreme.
Also, so like I would say that that's a good theory. I think that theory is a solid theory, but there's also the other side of it, that the JFK, because this is a common theory about JFK, that he was so intertwined with corruption and with organized criminals and organized crime that they took him out because they put him in office, and then he was trying to get rid of them.
Yeah,
so it was like.
But I have a very strong argument against that theory, which is fine. It is very legitimate. It because all those things were there, and they played as a blanket for the cover up. Because it was there. There's no denying he was involved in the mob and everything. But the biggest thing was him making the currency backed by gold.
Yeah.
That is like derailing what the monetary system today is.
Yeah, absolutely.
They couldn't create money out of thin air then.
Right.
There's going to be a circulated amount of wealth in the United States, and that was not the status quo.
So
that's absolutely true, because the other president that wanted interest-free money, Abraham Lincoln, was also shot in the head publicly.
Why do you think they got rid of Libya?
Of Libya?
Yeah.
Yeah, Gaddafi was trying to create a gold dinar.
Yep.
Yeah, that's right.
That he was going to trade his oil
a tangible currency.
Yeah. And
trading oil. Yeah.
That goes against the petrodollar.
Yep.
And the petrodollar is what gives the dollar its demand, its value, or at least since being taken off the gold standard. And so, yeah, you're right. He did threaten that.
Now, for the sake of time, because obviously, we could go into ad infinitum directions. So we talked about Bill Cooper.
Yes.
We talked about Tarik Bey and the Moors, and you
Mhm.
mentioned one more person. So
Yes.
why don't you tell us about him?
His name is Ray Hagen, and he
Okay.
is the head of the African village. And he will say things that completely shock me, even maybe more than Taj Tariq Bey.
Hmm.
Uh, he would say that all U.S. presidents are from one bloodline. That is the
Really?
bloodline, yes, of Philip of Macedon. Every single last one of them, was from that bloodline.
Now Philip of Macedon, was Alexander his son?
Yes,
Yeah, that's Alexander the Great's father.
Alex, yeah, okay. Philip of Macedon. Okay. Anyways, go
and
ahead.
he would also say that there is no Jesus.
Hmm.
Um, and there are some nuggets that are not coming to my mind right now, but he went into specific things about when the Greeks entered Egypt, right?
Okay.
Now, the it was not Alexander who entered Egypt and conquered. It was his friend, childhood friend Ptolemy, and of course
Ptolemy. Okay.
they started the Ptolemaic kings.
Hmm.
Now there is as soon as they got into Egypt, Ptolemy demanded to become a god, and so there is yeah. And at first they wouldn't, but eventually there is a coin of him, and they did make a god out of him by pressuring the priests. The other thing was that he goes
So wait a
into
second. Wait a second. So Ptolemy like goes to the priest in
No,
yeah,
no, no, no. Hold on, because
like,
it's like a pharaonic. So like in
A
pharaonic
the
pharaoh.
times,
pharaoh.
the pharaohs
Yeah,
were considered
yeah.
living gods. So
yes,
he wanted to be like a
he
You want to
wanted
be
pharaoh.
the pharaoh.
Yeah.
You want to
yeah,
be
he
the
wanted to
pharaoh.
be Pharaoh.
Okay. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
and so they what he would say is the God that was created would become uh, Jesus in the Bible that was created from the Piso family after the Greeks were in Egypt for a while. He would also say that there were bishops of Christ 100 years BC before Christ.
Mhm.
So why were there bishops before Jesus?
Well, here's the thing. You do realize Judaic tradition, they were always prophesied of the prophets that would come after. They had prophecies of even
Okay.
Jesus coming. So they could
Okay.
have, because, it's the
Fair
same
enough.
way, because there were like Jews in Yathrib before it became Medina, and they had
Yeah.
prophecies of Prophet
Yes.
Muhammad coming.
You're right. You're absolutely right. So that would be a good reason, and this would be something that, of course, you have to suspend your religious beliefs in order to listen to.
Mhm.
But he did go into some of the other gospels, and I would have to. I haven't really listened to him in a while, but he did really go through what Hellenization means. And
Mhm.
Hellenization, have you heard that Rome conquered Greece and then Greece
Yeah.
conquered Rome? Well, that means that Rome was Hellenized. And what
Mhm.
does Hellenized mean? It basically means Rome took Greek religion
Right. Yeah.
as the Egyptians did. And
Mhm.
so, Hellenization is spread throughout the region, and it was basically Greek religion that was
Well,
being.
today's version of Christianity is pretty much clear on that. Christmas, Easter.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
what does the eggs and the bunny have to do and Santa Claus with Christianity?
Exactly. Yeah.
So what is Ray Hagen like? What does he say we do with this information? Like what's he
Yeah,
espousing?
what's his kind of endpoint?
He's
Is he
trying.
like is he selling DVDs at 2 a.m. in the morning after Ginzu knives? What's he doing?
No, he's
Just-
trying to shake people out of the
okay.
belief systems, the creeds,
Okay.
and he's basically doing it by showing. what was done to Africans to get to where we are now. And
Huh.
he is completely African centric, and it's just intriguing at the time
I
uh,
see.
that that was happening. That he would mention both Ptolemy, the Ptolemaic kings, and the process of Hellenization, where Egyptians, he according to him, stopped going to their own. Uh, Egyptian religion services to go to the Greek. It became fashionable to
Mhm.
take on Greek religion, and
Mhm.
I just can't imagine what that looked like. 300 years BC. You know what I mean? So
So, like, you mentioned, like, Taj, Tariq Bey, and this guy Ray Hagin. So
yeah,
both of uh, these gentlemen were African American, or
yes,
okay.
yes.
Now, so did they have any relation to the sort of like civil rights? Their groups have any sort of links to civil rights movements or Black empowerment, like Nation of Islam, Black Panthers, or anything like that?
Well, there is a relationship, but it's not what you would think.
Yeah,
And
I think Taj would even
yeah,
say that those groups are part of the problem. That
he
they're
yeah he goes further, saying that the founder of it, the prophet of Nation of Islam, Elijah Muhammad, was actually
Yeah.
a Moor who started out in what was
Hmm.
called the quote unquote House of Allah,
He's right.
and
Yeah,
that
that's
was
very
the
accurate.
Moorish
Yep.
temple. That's the Moorish temple. So how he went from being a Moor to
Hmm.
being in the Nation of Islam or creating the Nation of Islam
They actually
is
Yeah.
still call their worship places House of Allah.
Mm.
subhanallah. Wow. Yeah. And that's the original. That is
Mm.
the original.
man. This is pretty
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting and deep.
This rabbit hole
Risque,
is so deep, man. I don't know where my head
yeah,
is or
man.
my back is. You know.
I
Yeah.
think we
yeah.
should head into crystal ball status, but
Yeah.
Risque,
Yeah,
unless you
'cause
have a
I
final
think this,
question.
well, because I think this is just going to be part one of an ongoing series of
Yeah,
discussions with
we're
So,
gonna let the listeners
the
kind of
world
give us
according
some
to Ace.
feedback, and
yeah.
if you guys liked Ace of Spades here, and you want him back to shed some more light, please leave a comment and let us know what you think. We can go in this rabbit hole a lot more deeper if you want. So
I, yeah, I think we need to, and I also think we need to provide the counter arguments to this, right?
Yeah.
right,
Because I think that if we're just giving one point of view, that's sort of like propaganda. And as you know, on this show, we try very hard to be as objective as possible. So I think that we also need to, like, in the future episodes of these conspiracy theories, we need to bring up counterpoints as to why these people, like, what was wrong, or what were
the
some of the errors in their.
one point I would like to make is I did not hear anything from these. Well, I wouldn't have Mr. Hooper. I mean, he was more centric to Cooper to
Yeah.
being against the establishment. That's a straight up, agenda. It has nothing to do with religion, basically.
Yeah.
But the other two, there was no mention of a creator.
Right.
Like,
exactly.
they are more centric to the human involvement of matters than the creation.
Well, they would be Gnostic. In other words, they would search for knowledge rather than be saved by faith. They
Ah,
disregard
Yeah.
faith and only go for knowledge. Only knowledge.
got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, final thoughts, Risque.
Final thoughts. Yeah,
Damn.
this is good. This was definitely a heavy episode. A lot of information that Ace of Spades threw at the table.
Did you notice I did not vape at all? I was so into the hole. I just forgot. I completely forgot.
Not at all. Yeah.
But yeah, I'll just say that I'm looking forward to having more discussions with Ace, and I think like I said, kind of talk more in depth. I gotta do more knowledge myself to read up on some of these people, because, to be honest, I never heard of Bill Cooper. I had
Yeah.
never heard of I had never heard of Tarik Bey, and I had
Yep.
never heard of Ray Hagen.
I
It's
actually
the
had
first time.
heard of Bill Cooper a little bit. I've like read some stuff about him on passing matters, but Taj Tariq, I've also heard of him in regard to the Moor, but I never like
Yeah.
looked into him deeply. But the last one I had no clue about.
Yeah. And I wanted to close by saying thank you for having me. I can't wait to hear what the audience thinks. Hear what they
They're
say.
cutting
And
you off again, buddy.
that's a conspiracy.
Oh yeah.
So,
Um.
Alex,
Well, I'd say that there's a lot of interesting things to talk about here. I think Bill Cooper falls into the line of like a
Patriot.
against the establishment, kind of like an American conspiracy theorist who's against the establishment, against the idea of socialism and the collective, like a group of people that are trying to dictate the way U.S. citizens behave and think and the way that the country's going. So that's something that I think is more common.
Yeah, a lot of people are resonating to that fact, actually.
Yeah, and also an interesting fact that of a person who I guess was the original conspiracy theorist was actually General Patton.
Wow.
General Patton during World War II was in charge of the restructuring of Germany, and he actually was looking to start a war with the Soviet Union. He wanted to instigate the Soviet Union in attacking the United States because he felt that the communists and the Soviet Unions were the next enemy of the United States, and that they were in one way, shape, or form were going to take over the U.S. Through their policies and through their tyranny. That if you are a tyrannical government like the Soviet Union, the only way a freedom loving democracy can stand up to you is to become tyrannical themselves. So he felt in order to prevent that from happening that we had to go to war with the Soviet Union immediately. And there are people, high-standing citizens in the U.S. who feel that he was assassinated. And one of them is Bill O'Reilly. He actually wrote a book about it, that General Patton was assassinated by the forebearers of the CIA. Anyways, that's a topic that we can go into later. But as far as Taj Tariq, that type of conspiracy theory, I feel, is a little bit more plausible than the other guy, Higgins.
Hagen,
Hagen.
I think Hagen's being too eccentric towards the the African race makes him too biased. Get it?
Yeah, I so like from experience of growing up in around those type of people, because I grew up near the projects, and there was a lot of like knowledge, like that type of knowledge being passed around, and people who were there specifically to try to preach to you. And the Moors theory I've heard before, so it's nothing new. And you know what? It is an interesting theory that there is no black, there is no white, there is no racism. It's all been you've just been manipulated. At the end of the day, you've been manipulated in order for people to take money from you.
Yeah.
And so you're focused on being an oppressor or being oppressed instead of actually being free. And I think that's if it's true or not, I think that's beautiful.
But at the same time, in our religion, it's that thing's nothing new to us because God doesn't look at color. He says, "I only see your righteousness, and only God knows how righteous you are." That's it.
Yeah, I think in any Abrahamic faith they would say the same thing.
Yep.
And that the translation of the pre-Civil War South is a manipulation of the true tenets of Christianity.
Oh yeah.
So, but that being said, Hagen's. So I've been I've experienced that type of
Yeah.
thought process as well, coming up and hanging out in the projects, is that there is a school of thought in the African American community where Central Africans
Mhm.
were in control of Egypt,
Yeah.
right? And they controlled Egypt, and the Ptolemaic dynasty took over that Egypt and took over from the Central Africans, the dynasty of Egypt, and which goes into Hellenization. I think that's far fetched. I
Yeah.
think that's wishful thinking. It's a desire of an oppressed people to
Yeah.
gain relevancy through a historically powerful country or dynasty.
Yeah.
The the amount of distance that Central Africans would have to travel to get to Egypt through the Sahara,
Yeah.
I mean, it's not possible. Now, if you were to say that Eastern Africans, came up the Nile and conquered Egypt, then I would say yes, that's true. It actually did happen.
Yeah. The Kingdom of Kush.
Right.
Yeah.
So that is something that did happen. But to me, Hagen's is just it's just a school of thought that's just not feasible.
compelling to you. It's not compelling to you.
It's not compelling, and I think like these other conspiracy theorists might have nuggets of truth to them. I
Yeah.
think this was just some guy spending too much time trying to think about a philosophy. I mean, really,
Yeah.
I could be wrong. Who knows?
I mean, it's
All
very.
right.
But once again, thanks for having me, guys.
Hey.
Been a pleasure.
Yep.
Because it's a conspiracy podcast, there may or may not be a Khalas energy drink.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're
I don't
all
think we're-
khalas
this-
right now.
One drink and
Oh.
Khalas. We're done for today, guys.
Yeah.
We'll see you.
All right.
All right.
All right.
Peace out.
Peace out.